This is News coming to you live on GBC News and GTV. Hello, good afternoon. You're welcome to the news. Siyoko Kwakutre. The Ghana Health Service has started administering COVID-19 booster shots to stem the spread of the disease in the country. The purpose of a COVID-19 booster shot is to give people an added level of protection from COVID-19 if the existing protection has waned over time, by enhancing their immune system to protect them from infection, hospitalizations and death, which is the purpose of the vaccine. On the line is a manager of the expanded program on immunization at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Kwame Amponsachiano, to update us on the administration of the booster jabs. Hello, good afternoon, Doc, and thank you so much for joining us on News Hour.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for joining us on News Hour. Doc, can you confirm if the administration of booster jabs have begun nationwide?
Yes, good afternoon to your cherished listeners. Yes, I can confirm that many sites have started. Of course, we are yet to go around and see what is happening across the nation.
So what category of persons are qualified to receive boosters, and what are the types available to be administered?
Yes, you will recall that when we started vaccination last year, somewhere around 1st March, we had a group that we dubbed the most vulnerable, and these are the people with underlying conditions, healthcare workers, those who are 60 years and above, frontline security persons, and then the arms of government as well as other frontline workers. So they are the ones for whom a booster dose is recommended for now by the National Immunization Technical Advisory Group, which is a group that is specialized in advising the Minister of Health and by extension the Ghana Health Service and the Ministry of Health and the program on immunization-related issues and technologies.
So, Doc, at what we now know that the green light has been given for pregnant women to also receive COVID-19 jabs. So at what stage in pregnancy can these women have their vaccination, and are there some precautionary measures that must be taken before they go for the jabs?
Well, I could hear the first part, but not the second part. But essentially, you're asking about the vaccination of pregnant women.
Exactly.
Yes, of course, the same expert group recommended that we should start vaccinating pregnant women based on the fact that pregnant women are more likely to die from COVID than any other person. Have a preterm delivery. And so we've, as part of the renewed policy, which was announced by the Minister of Health on the 19th of January, we have included pregnant women as well in this COVID-19 vaccination exercise. And for now, we are giving them what we call the mRNA-based vaccines, which are Moderna and Pfizer. And so that's what we have for now.
So at what stage in pregnancy can one go for a jab?
Yes, at any stage. So as soon as one realizes that he or she is pregnant, she can go. But even the recommendation covers people who are contemplating pregnancy, people who are pregnant, and those who, of course, who have delivered. But from the onset, you recall that breastfeeding mothers have always been part of the initial group, so there's no problem with that at all.
So, Doc, finally, what is the country's infection rate with regards to COVID-19?
Come again, please.
What is the country's infection rates with regards to COVID-19?
Well, if you look at the number of cases, around 155,000 out of over 2.2 million tests that have been conducted so far. So when you work out the math, you get the rate.
Okay, that's Thank you very much, Doc, for your time. Dr. Kwame Amponsa-Chiano is the manager of the expanded program on immunization at the Ghana Health Service. The 73rd New Year School and Conference has ended in Accra. The annual event organized by the University of Ghana, Legon, focused on the theme COVID-19 and socio-economic dynamics in Ghana. Recommendations at the end of the conference is aimed at building robust institutions and economy that can stand the test of time during global health pandemics.
The 73rd Annual Year School and Conference had a number of thematic analysis and panel sessions. Some of the thematic areas include consolidating the gains of COVID-19 in education, greening Ghana for food and jobs, global peace and security, the socio-economic impact of COVID-19 on Ghana's economy, the challenges, prospects and emerging technologies and innovations in healthcare delivery during pandemics, among others. At the closing ceremony in Accra, a senior lecturer at the Department of Adult Education and Human Resource Studies, Dr. Isahaka Fuseni, mentioned some recommendations.
To collaborate with relevant stakeholders in the health sector to provide continuous professional development in digital literacy and skills to healthcare workers to enable them to use these emerging technologies effectively.
The Pro-Vice-Chancellor, Research, Innovation and Development of the University of Ghana, Professor Phyllis Asante, officially closed the 73rd New Year School.
The annual New Year School and Conference has over the years served a useful purpose of contributing to national policy development and implementation. It is my hope that this year's communique will be equally useful to the national cause.
The Dean of the Continuing and Distance Education, Professor Olivia Frimpong Kwapong, thanked patrons and encouraged all to take e-learning very seriously because it is the new normal during and after COVID-19. For GBC News, Yaira Lawe reporting.
The government will today begin a series of town hall meetings on the controversial electronic transactions levy e-levy. The exercise will explain the importance of the e-levy as well as take feedback and input from relevant stakeholders on the levy. The government also says the feedback will inform it on the implementation of the levy. The e-levy is a new tax measure introduced by the government in the 2022 budget on basic transactions related to digital payments and electronic platform transactions. A charge of 1.75% will apply to electronic transactions that are more than 100 Ghana cedis on a daily basis. The town hall meeting will feature ministers, sector-specific civil society organizations, and other relevant industry stakeholders. The town hall meeting is being organized by the Ministry of Information and will be live on various television networks in the country as well as the ministry's social media pages. Meanwhile, the e-levy is expected to be laid before Parliament tomorrow, Friday, January 28, 2022. The government resolved to widen the tax net through the introduction of the electronic levy has been fraught with some resistance in Parliament and also misconceptions among the general public. On GTV Breakfast, a Deputy Finance Minister, Dr. John Kuma, sought to explain the need for the government to raise revenue to build the economy. He agreed that more education and stakeholder engagement are needed.
Mobile money has made strides in increasing access to digital financial services in Ghana and bridging the financial inclusion gap. According to a report by the UNCDF, by November 2021, Ghana had 47.3 million registered users of mobile money, 18.4 active users, and a cash value of over 80 billion Ghana cedis. In the last 2 years, mobile transactions alone grew from 70 billion cedis to 900 billion cedis.
To the poor or the too sensitive group to the Momo. So up to 100 Ghana cedis, you are not going to pay. And then when you are moving Momo from your wallet to your bank account on your same phone, government is not going to tax you. We extended that 100 Ghana cedis to cover all 100% Momo users so that we can cover the poor or the much sensitive group to this tax. So they are not going to be affected.
He said in order to reduce the impact of the financial burden, the telcos have agreed to reduce their charges by 25%. He explains further how the electronic levy will work.
Remittances are exempted.
Okay.
So remittances that come in outside Ghana are not charged on the e-levy.
Okay.
And when she's withdrawing from her phone, withdrawals are not covered.
Health experts are cautioning women against inserting foreign materials into the vagina to change the smell to suit them. According to the medical superintendent of the Shai Osudoku Hospital, Dr. Kennedy Brighton, a healthy vagina is slightly acidic and self-cleansing and therefore must be left alone. He said it is rather important for both men and women to shave. Dr. Kennedy Brighton was a guest on GTV Breakfast.
The pubic hair is not a type of thing that is for beautification. In the days past, across the world, people used to have lice in the pubic hair. You know, once it's there puffy, it can harbor all kinds of diseases and organisms.
Okay.
So for the general cleanliness, both men and women, it's not women alone.
Yeah.
They must learn to keep that area clean of hair.
So shave it.
Yeah, you shave. You shave. You shave. A lot of people complain that when they shave, they develop razor bumps. It's just because, you see, over there you have a lot of staphylococcus. There's some kind of bacteria that we have a lot on our body.
Okay.
So if you don't clean up, then it begins to give you byproducts that are malodorous.
Okay.
So you need to shave.
President Akufo-Addo says the government will resettle the people of Piatti, the town which was razed to dust and rubble last Thursday, the 20th of January 2022, by a nitrate explosion. While interacting with the Group Chief Executive of Goldfields, Mr. Chris Griffiths, at the Jubilee House in Accra, the President said resettlement and development of the entire town is a must, and Goldfields has promised to support the government in this regard.
The visit of the Group Chief Executive of Goldfields, Mr. Chris Griffith, to the Jubilee House was to officially introduce themselves to President Akufo-Addo and to brief the President of the operational plans. However, the Apiate explosion last Thursday, January 20, 2022, dominated the meeting. Key focus was on safety measures and regulations governing the sector. This issue remains on the front burner due to the severity of the explosion, which claimed 14 lives and completely razed down the entire town, virtually to rubble and dust. Other areas of discussion were the resettlement of the people of Apiate. The acting chief executive, vice president and head of Goldfields, West Africa, Mr. Joshua Mototi, said Goldfields will support government's resettlement process.
We've actually offered not only monetary support, but also our expertise in resettlement, which we've done over the years to support the noble activity that he's embarking on to restore some normalcy to the people.
Mr. Chris Griffith is the CEO of Goldfields Group.
It's a huge tragedy that we had to come under such sad circumstances after the explosion in the community of Apiati. And also, Mr. President, just to give you the comfort that we as Goldfields will be working very closely with other mining companies, also working very closely with our minister and the efforts of the government to restore, I guess, the faith in the mining industry that we are a force for good and not a force for harm. And we're going to be working very closely with our minister to do exactly that.
President Akufo-Addo said resettling the people of Apiati is a process in the offing.
What is happening at Apiati is something that is, for me personally, it's hallucinating. I'm still finding it very difficult to accommodate what is taking place and the devastation and the thing. These things happen. We have to learn from it. It's tragic. And I hope we're going to take the right lessons from it so that we're not going to hear of such an incident again for a very, very long time, if ever, that is coming. So we're grateful for the offer of assistance that you made to him about putting your expertise at our disposal, especially in terms of the resettlement. I think it's very important that the government does whatever it can to resettle the town and to rebuild the village. Yeah.
The executives of Goldfields say Ghana alone contributes 35% of the global gold production, second to Australia, which produces 45%.
The call for recognition of people living with disability as equal beings who can help make a change in society has been re-echoed at a workshop organized by Voice Ghana, an NGO for journalists in the OT region. The aim of the workshop, among other things, aimed at advising media practitioners to be mindful of the description of people living with disability in the reportage. This is because research has shown that such derogatory descriptions demoralize them and in the long run prevent many of them from bringing out their innate talents for national development. Head of the Department of Social Welfare, University of Ghana, Dr. Augustina Nami, cautioned the general public to stop discrimination against people living with disability.
Let's see the person in the person with a disability rather than the limitations or the disability of the person with a disability, and portray the capabilities of individuals with disabilities. Let's tell their success stories. There are so many things that we can say about persons with disabilities. We don't see those stories. They can work, those who are working, some of them are very successful. You know, let's focus on all of these.
One of the participants spoke to GBC News on how beneficial the workshop had been for him.
I've learned that some of our captions, in a way, is derogatory and makes them feel inferior or put them in a corner which it is not supposed to be so.
3 students of Edwisu Senior High Technical School have been stabbed in 3 separate incidents between Monday and Tuesday. On Monday, an 18-year-old Form 2 student was stabbed close to his spine with a pair of scissors when he resisted attempts by 4 of his colleagues to snatch his mobile phone. One of them, who police say admitted to the crime, is in police custody. On Tuesday evening, some youth from the Edwisu township attacked and stabbed another student of the school in an alleged fight over girls. That same evening, another student of the school was stabbed in the head by students in a fight on campus. Police reports indicate that 3 people have been arrested in connection with all the cases as investigations continue. Meanwhile, the Edwisu Municipal Security Council visited the school on Thursday. And we'll give you updates in our subsequent bulletins. A new H5N1 variant of the bird flu has been detected in 3 more regions, taking the number of regions with reported cases to 10 out of 16 regions. In the Bono region, Veterinary Services Department depopulated about 17,000 birds from the 20,000 infected in 3 farms in the region. A situation veterinary health workers described as worrying. The head of laboratory for the Greater Accra Regional Veterinary Services Department, Dr. Theophilus Odum, has described the outbreak in the country as a global situation which needs urgent attention. He's on the phone lines to tell us more. Hello, good afternoon, Doc, and thank you so much for your time.
Good afternoon.
So, can you tell us the regions that have recorded cases of bird flu?
Okay, thank you very much. Currently, we have 10 regions in the country, 10 out of 15. The Greater Accra region, Central region, Volta, Ashanti, Western North, Western, Upper West, Eastern, Upper East, and the Bono. Bono is the latest region to have recorded the H5N1.
So just about 3 weeks ago, we had reported cases in only 3 regions. Now it says 10 regions. So is it an indication that the veterinary services were lax in their surveillance?
Well, the outbreak started last year, July 8, where we detected the first case in the Pong Katamanso municipality, that is in the Greater Accra region. So it's not like all the regions recorded in the past 2 weeks. It's accumulative, like starting from last year July till now.
Okay, so what measures have been put in place to avert further spread to the remaining 6 regions of the country?
Yeah. So, Veterinary Services Directorate have staff all over the country. If you go to every district, there is a Agric Directorate there, and we have veterinary service staff there. And what we do is we work together with the farmers, and we put in place biosecurity measures, and we also put in place a ban on movement of poultry and poultry products. Yeah, but before poultry and poultry products are moved to another place, we always advise that the poultry farmers seek movement permit from the veterinary staff. And we also discuss with the poultry farmers, when you encounter mass mortality or your birds are dying, you quickly have to inform the veterinary directorate, their staff, so that the immediate action will be taken. The core message is early detection, rapid diagnosis, and what effective control measures that are put in place by veterinary service directorate.
Dr. Odom, you have been reported to have described the outbreak as a global situation which needs urgent attention. Why do you say so?
Yeah, because currently the avian influenza is in all over the world. We have it in Asia, Europe, America, and Africa. I mean, it is something which is in the whole world. But that shouldn't be like we should say that because in the whole world, we are not protecting ourselves. We have to put also measures in place so that we stop the spread of the disease within our country.
So finally, what should the public look out to protect themselves against consuming birds affected with the disease?
Yeah, we advise the general public not to eat any dead bird. It is not inappropriate to eat dead animals. I mean, when animal dies, we don't know what kills the animal. So in public health, it is not good to consume any dead animal. So we try to tell the public that farmers, animal lovers, traders, all those in the value chain, poultry value chain, please do not sell dead animals or dead birds in the market. When animal dies, we kindly contact the veterinary staff to ascertain the cause of the mortality, and so that they will rapidly move in to stop the spread of avian influenza.
Dr. Odom, we appreciate your time. And Dr. Theophilus Odom is the head of laboratory for the Greater Accra Regional Veterinary Services Department. A new variety of tomato known as Arsenic Tomato, entirely different in nature from the well-known tomato varieties, could soon be on the Ghanaian market. The crop, if eventually approved by the National Varietal Release and Registration Committee, could revive the traditional tomato breeds already on the local market. According to our Ashanti regional correspondent Nicholas Osaiwusu, initial research has shown that apart from the known vitamin A nutrient present in any other tomato variety, the snake tomato is also endowed with vitamin C and several other nutritional qualities and could also be eaten in its green state, as is the case with cucumber.
A research scientist with the Crops Research Institute of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, Dr. Michael Kwabnose, has been researching into the alien crop variety for about a year now. The creeping plant, which is yet to be assigned a generally acceptable local name, is commonly found in Nigeria. The study by the Crop Research Institute scientists is to, among other objectives, confirm the many initially found nutritional and medicinal values and the suitable climatic and agronomic conditions required for its cultivation in Ghana. The research will also involve sensory activities encompassing the vegetable's usefulness for soup and stew preparation. During a visit to the research field at the Kwadaso Agric Research Station near Kumasi, the breeder, Dr. Michael Kwabnose, demonstrated that the crop could as well be eaten in its green or unripe state.
When it ripes, it's like tomatoes. So they need to prepare something out of it and see.
The study into the crop has almost gone through a full planting cycle, from planting to ripening. Unlike the commonly known tomatoes that change in color from green to red, the snake tomato turns yellowish with relatively bigger seeds when ripe. It has no official name yet, but is unofficially referred to as snake tomato because of its elongated and curvaceous nature, making it look physically like a snake. However, a more acceptable name will be adopted later for local acceptance, since the interim identity evokes fear among especially women. Dr. Kwabnose told GBC News that initial findings from the studies suggest that the snake tomato requires a lot of sunshine, takes about 16 weeks to mature, and could replace the known tomato varieties available on the Ghanaian market, owing to the many different nutritional and medicinal qualities it possesses.
You hardly see pests on the fruit except when it's rotten. And then the fruit size is large enough, elongated, contains a lot of vitamins, talk of vitamin C, A. It's very good for the heart, promotes a lot of, it's able to also protect the bone, has a lot of good health information or importance.
Dr. Kwabnose noted that for now, the major challenge undermining the research into the snake tomato is funding.
You're watching news coming to you live on GBC News and GTV. Taking a short break, we'll be back with the business segments.
Good afternoon and welcome. Time now for the business segment, and I am Dorothy Ajmai. The Finance Minister, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, has justified the introduction of the e-levy in the 2022 budget. Describing the e-levy as a burden-sharing tax, Mr. Ofori-Atta said the devastating effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on the economy informed the decision to propose the e-levy, where citizens can also contribute to the national kitty to transform the economy. He was speaking at the closing ceremony of the 73rd Annual New Year School held at the University of Ghana, Legon.
We decided to speak with the telecom companies and say, let's begin to look at your profits and what you are charging, and therefore negotiate a way in which we can reduce what you are charging, so that then the total impact is reduced for the Ghanaian. Good minds, we were able to come down by 0.25%, which means the impact will go down for the average Ghanaian, but we'll still be able to retain the revenues needed for these three critical areas of debt sustainability, of infrastructure build-up, and ensuring that our Youth Start youth programs, entrepreneurships becomes standard in our sort of socio-economic development, etc. And that really, in a sense, is, are we Ghanaians ready to acknowledge that we've gotten to a point in which we need to all contribute to this, what we'll call burden sharing, just as the telcos were able to cut down, just as the bankers were able to bring 5 billion CDs to the table. And then what do you and I do to ensure that we pay our way for the development of the economy? This could be the most effective tool to ensure that all of us are included in the tax net, and that we consistently grow with the growth of an e-commerce economy.
In determining the appropriate roadmap to transform the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, to achieve its goals, a two-day conference has been held here in Accra. The conference charged regional directors and unit heads of EOCO to demonstrate professionalism, integrity, and ethical standards in the discharge of their duties. The effectiveness of the Economic and Organized Crime Office to prevent and detect organized crime depends to a large extent on the development of pragmatic and sustainable strategies to counter and mitigate economic and financial risks posed by corruption and organized crime. This year's annual conference, as usual, brought together regional directors and unit heads to deliberate on building effective relationships with other law enforcement agencies, financial sustainability and effectiveness, and the role of performance appraisal in organizational growth. As has been the case, EOCO outlined key performance to mitigate corruption and organized crime, which is extremely crucial. The Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Mr. Alfred Tuah-Yeboah, commended EOCO for the successes chalked up when handling certain sensitive criminal issues.
You've also taken up the investigation to various landmark financial crimes. Without prejudice, Capital Venture, Maslog, Smith, and the ambulance saga. EOCO has carried out this mandate successfully so far under the Act regarding the facilitation of confiscation of proceeds of crime. In the midst of these challenges, the Office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice will push for the amendment of this Act so that you have whatever you expect to have.
The Deputy Executive Director, Nana Entry, urged the participants to work hard as they brainstorm on the way forward. The Executive Director of EOCO, COP Mamitiwa Adodankwa, said under her tenure, all requisite structures will be put in place to facilitate effective delivery of outputs.
I am determined and committed to ensure that, together with management, the human and material resources will be improved significantly in line with acceptable standards. It is important to bring to your notice that we can only achieve high performance when we consistently demonstrate professionalism.
This year's conference is on a theme, building effective relationship with stakeholders to achieve the mandate of the office. You're still watching News Hour, and this is the business segment. The Ghana Mine Workers Union has commended the government and other state agencies for their prompt response to help rebuild the community of Apiate in the western region after the explosion. According to a statement signed by the General Secretary of the union, Abdul Mumin Gabna said safety awareness could have significantly saved the situation by reducing the overall impact of the disaster. The statement says the union is hopeful that thorough investigations would be conducted by an independent body to establish the cause of the accident and recommend appropriate measures to forestall a recurrence to others. The union commiserated with the entire Piate community, members of the union who were affected and bereaved families. Meanwhile, the union has called on all well-meaning Ghanaians and corporate bodies, institutions to assist the government to put smiles on the faces of the people of Apiate within the shortest possible time. And that's it for the business segment.